Hey, Michael Griffiths here, founder of Referral Marketing Guru, and welcome to this week's Get More Referrals Today podcast. Today, we're going to go down a different track. Yes, it helps you get referrals. Yes, it helps you get more business, but it's got to do more with you improving you. And sometimes that's not what people want to be able to hear. But when we think about this whole limbic advantage system that we talk about, being able to limbic your business from top to tail and really be able to get more referrals, retain clients, skyrocket client loyalty, it really comes down to you being able to think a different way. Because the survival cortex brain that you've been given, unfortunately, makes you too logical. And when you're too logical, you can't create emotion or feeling in the other person. So you've probably heard many a times before where people talk all the time around sales. You've got to be emotional. You've got to use particular types of language. So hence NLP and various sales scripts and so forth became a big craze, where in fact, really all it is that you're tapping into the limbic part of the brain. You're tapping into the part of the brain that is feeling based. Now, we know that that limbic part of the brain controls all human behavior and it controls all decision making. So it made perfect sense in a sales perspective to make sure that we were tapping into the emotional side of the brain, that we were more emotional when we were selling, that we were very much get out of the logic and get into the benefits and get into what the benefits will create and paint the picture for how they will be by using your service. See, when you look at it and you break that down, really all we're doing is tapping into the correct part of the brain, and that's it. So I want to now touch on something which I think we just do a horrible job at, to be honest, and that's around commenting on other people's content, in particular social media, but it could be on a YouTube video, it could be a blog, it could be some sort of article in a publication, and we go to comment on it. And I want to talk at why you shoot yourself in the foot and where the opportunity is to be able to do this in a way that allows you to get other people interested in you, hooked on you. And it's not that hard. As always, if you love the episode, please make sure you share it with at least one other person. We can get the word out there. We can keep on spreading the impact that we get to make, and we get to limbic more people's businesses. Because the more businesses that are limbic, the better off their businesses are going to be, and the more impact they get to make, which is obviously our number one goal. So let's take this as a scenario. I think LinkedIn is probably the worst platform simply because it is so dry and it's so logical, and therefore it's generally so boring. So let's just go. Someone in your network has just made a post. Let's just say that they've told a story, or they've given us 3 or 4 tips about something of interest. Now, for most people, when they go to comment back, straight away, where their thinking goes is either how do I impart what I want to be able to say, okay, or how do I make myself look good, or how do I, notice how it's all I driven, it's all ego driven. When you comment on anything, so it doesn't matter whether it's on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whether it's on someone's blog, whether it's on someone's article, it doesn't matter where. The whole idea is take yourself out of it and make them feel good. That's the only thing you should be trying to do when you comment on other people's content. But for some reason, we find that really hard to do. For some reason, we feel like we have to prove something. For some reason, we feel like we have to share and show our insights and show how good we are, where in fact, that's not helping with the end outcome. So let's break this down. Someone in your network makes a post on a social platform. Okay, let's say they make a post on LinkedIn. Why are you even commenting? Well, the whole purpose of commenting is to get yourself seen by that person, maybe to further your relationship with that person, to be able to get front of mind of that person, to be able to establish maybe greater rapport with that person. There are all the reasons why you would comment. So if they're the reasons and you comment in a dry, logical, boring, look at me type of way, how much influence do you think you're really having on that other person with the outcome you're trying to achieve? Yeah, not much. Because they probably look at it and just go, oh, like, well, thanks for sharing that, or well, that was pointless, as I do quite often when people comment on our stuff. That you want to be commenting purely to make them feel appreciated. That's it. That's the only reason why you should be commenting. It actually should have nothing to do with making you look good. There's no need. I get your cortex logical brain says, of course there is, because then they'll see that I know what I'm talking about, or then they'll come back to me and blah. No, they won't. Remember, people do things which they resonate with, because that allows them to respect them and be inspired by them. And it starts with resonate. And someone's not going to resonate if all you're doing is commenting in a way where it's, look at me, look how good I am, look how much I know. It's really hard to resonate with you. Versus, if you comment to make that person feel good themselves, if you create dopamine in that person, if you create oxytocin in that person, now all of a sudden it's really easy for that person to resonate. So let's do this. I'm just going to give you a bit of an example here. Let me come up here. I'm going to pull up my LinkedIn and I'm going to read something straight to you. So here is a post from Luke. Don't need to go through the last name. So Luke talks about, of the 5 story types, your impact story has the most power, and he goes through and he talks about story, and he talks about the impact story as one of the 5 story types. So he comes down and he gives a couple of insights and a couple of tips to be able to write your impact story. Okay? And then he says, what stands out for you? Share your thoughts in the comments. So what would most people do? I haven't even gone to the comments yet, but what most people do? They would maybe share what stands out for them. They'd go maybe, thanks, Luke. What stands out for me is embrace your team and customers as co-creators. Yeah, okay. Not horrible. You've done what Luke's asked. And in the end, Luke's got some engagement, which is what he's wanting, and that's why he's posting. Let's see at what some people's comments are. So someone goes, stories are so beneficial. It's so true that you should be writing things in a story-orientated way to be able to get people to understand it. Like, what does that do by making that sort of comment? Think about, what does that do to Luke, and what does it really do in the bigger picture of things, other than, what a waste of 30 seconds you writing it. Like, I don't know what you were trying to achieve by making that comment on Luke's post. Were you trying to achieve a, oh, look at me, I know stories are good and I'm telling you so? Were you just writing simply because you've got a VA simply to go and comment on people's posts, simply to stay front of mind, and therefore it's a process-driven activity? You can start to see, when you actually start looking at this, that really, would Luke resonate then with your comment? Probably not. So therefore, you're not staying front of mind of Luke. In essence, he's probably looking at her and moving on to another person. So you've done the opposite. Let me take another comment. Notice the difference. So here, Zoe goes, awesome pointers, Luke. Thanks for sharing this one. That's so much better. So if you take the 2 different comments, which one do you think has created brain chemicals in Luke? The second one, without a doubt. So now Luke might actually go and go, oh, who's Zoe? If he didn't know who Zoe was properly. He might go check Zoe's profile out. He'd probably respond to Zoe. He might get into a conversation where he could create opportunities. See, by Zoe saying just simply, awesome pointers, Luke, thanks for sharing this one, she's done more to enhance the connection than what the other person did who wrote, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. In essence, that's the comment that was written. So I want you to simply ask this. When you comment on other people's content, are you doing it from an ego point of view where you're saying, look at me, I know my stuff? Or are you doing it from a point of view to be able to deepen your relationship with that person? Because that's really the only reason you should be commenting. And if you're not commenting for that reason, then you're following a process and the process won't work because you're tapping into the wrong part of the brain. So let me give you one more example. Let's come through and look here. Okay, so here's something from a Tony. What is an API, application programming interface? So Tony goes through and he talks about what an API is. Right? So it's a very logical written piece. That's fine. That's what Tony wanted to do. So when we come down to the comments, let's see the different sorts of comments that have been here. Okay. We've got I've heard the employment market is always looking for new talent, and there are plenty of opportunities available. You just need to know where to find to where you belong. So in essence, that person, yes, they talked about API in terms of being able to go job hunting and find the right tools to be able to find new jobs. But again, it's like, does that really make Tony feel good? Does it really add any value to Tony's piece of content? The simple answer is no. Okay? Like if I was Tony and I read that, I'd just be like, seriously? Go away. So what I want you to think about is I want you to be thinking about when you comment on other people's content. It could be anywhere. You have a choice. You have a choice to be in the Limbic brain and make them feel a particular way. Or you have a choice to be in your cortex brain and be logical and boring and be more ego, me focused. And when you're that, you can't be heartfelt in your thinking. Okay? You can't deepen the connection. And therefore, if you can't deepen the connection, really, why would that person do anything to help you? And anything could be become a client, become a referral partner, promote your business, share things. It is amazing how many little things we do every single day where we shoot ourselves in the foot because we don't understand the importance of limbic brain in our business versus being in the cortex, logical, boring way of doing things. That's the difference in having a limbic advantage. It completely changes the way you see your business, the way you talk about your business, the way you interact with everybody that's around your business. And that there was just one example of commenting on people's content. Think how many different things could happen over the course of a day, a week, a month, a year, where you're shooting yourself in the foot simply because you're just far too logical than what you should be. So here's a simple little activity to do over the next week. When you go and you comment on other people's content, wherever it happens to be, just simply think, how will this make them feel? How will this comment make them feel? And if the comment's not going to put a smile on their face, not make them feel warm and fuzzy, then don't write it. Okay, guys, that's it from me. If you've enjoyed the episode, please make sure you share it with at least one other person. If you're looking to be able to limbic your business from top to tail, You know where to come, reach out. And if you've got anything that you'd really like us to be able to get through on our Get More Referrals Today podcast, then make sure you shoot us a message, comment below, and we'll make sure that we put it into the long list of things that we've got to be able to talk about. Okay, till next time, take care.